This is a location that is having some obvious issues with irrigation. As you can see, these super dry areas. It's greener at this end. We're not going to count the ball field because obviously or the ball fields because obviously they get a lot more attention and a higher water budget. Let me say real quick, this is not a place that I have anything to do with. I just selected this place at random from Google Maps. I don't know who runs it. I don't know what their issues are, but I figured this was a good one for discussion. I'm hoping that those of you that are watching this will comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm spot on. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't care. Just comment and let me know what you think about what's happening here. Okay, so without further ado, let's go through this. What I think is going on here is, as you can see, this side is greener than this side, and I think what it is this um, what the zones start in this area during the night and march their way, say from this right here obviously has an issue, probably nothing running over on this side, so it's only getting single coverage on this side. But I think the zones march this direction as they're moving on, and it is getting a reduced pressure during the night because as the night goes on, they're starting at say 10 o'clock, and by the time they get over here, it's 4, 5, 6 a.m. and the water supply, which is probably from culinary, which would be the city, is probably got a higher demand, so the volume available and pressures are down, so they're not getting the throw that they want, as you can see right here. And I'm going to go to some different slides to show you some more detail, but you can see that these basically does not reach this head. For this one is shooting to right here, it doesn't reach this head. Let's see if we can show that a little bit better. There we go. Example here, it's 52 feet from here to here, but it's 42 feet to the edge of that green. So we're 10 feet short, 10 feet short of reaching the minimum double head coverage amount. So, we're not only are we not throwing past, we are basically not even making it. I mean, they're not making it at this time of the night. They're not making it to the other head. I think when it's being tested during the day, they're seeing a higher volume and a higher pressure, which gives them a much better coverage. As you can see, if you look in this right here, shows that is basically from, it's really hard to see. I'll show you in a further one, or in a later one. We'll be able to show basically how much farther these ones are throwing versus these ones. Let's move on. So this is a 42-foot circle to show basically the extent of or how short it is actually throwing. I mean, it's significantly shorter, especially this direction. This is a poor design because it is an old setup where basically they stretched it out as far as they could to try to reduce at least this is my opinion, to be able to reduce the installation cost at the expense of overwatering. And at the time, I'm sure it was not that big of a deal, but now when we're on a water crunch, we don't have enough water to go around. It's a really bad practice to be able to extend them out that far. And you can see this one is a good probably 30 feet short. It only makes it just into this section. So basically they overlapped only in bars. So this section, and we'll go to the next one and look, it was intended for this section and this section to basically be the only double coverage areas, and from side to side they your section here in the center was basically a bonus. They would just overwater to compensate. Very old practice. I would not recommend it. And you can see because of that you have these green bars where the water is basically not so much in this spot, but everywhere else that you're going, it tends to be greener along these lines. So how would I address it? First, well, let's go back one. First, scheduling. I think you could eliminate most of this by scheduling, by simply, instead of setting this up to where it's only watering every other day, set it up to where it's watering every day. I know that it's not good, not considered good practice in the industry, but watering every day will reduce the run times by half. So if this is only making it to, say, midnight or 1 o'clock, by the time the pressure starts to drop, by watering every single day, you reduce the run time from, say, an hour to a half an hour. So by midnight or 1 o'clock, we've made it all the way to this end one right here, where you've got more even coverage clear to the end, so your pressures stay up for the majority of the watering time during the night. That would be my first attempt to address it, and maybe that's what they're already doing. I have no idea. Again, I have nothing to do with this system or this site. I don't even know the people that run it. So anyway, I think that would make a significant difference in this case. So let's move on now. Now, another way that I would consider adjusting this, if I don't have the ability to change watering days, if I have to be in a scenario where I'm watering evens and odds because it's dictated by the water purveyor, I would consider re-nozzling these last 3 or 4 zones. Actually, this zone, by the fact that it's small circles, I think the stem is turned down on that zone. So I believe that's a valve issue. So that one's not part of the discussion. But for these last 3, probably 3 zones only, I would consider re-nozzling them and extending their runtime by, say, 20%. Because these, I believe there's 7 heads on these, even though I've only got 5 showing. This soccer field extends off the bottom of what this screen shows. And the way that it looks like the layout is set up, it looks like there's 7 heads per zone. And I believe they are currently, they're currently running 7 heads, and it looks like they're running the equivalent to this 18 nozzle, because 18 to 20 nozzle, because they're getting 59 to 62 feet out of the throw. Just by looking at this right here, you can see this one is shooting clear to the edge here, which indicates that at peak performance, they're actually getting the head-to-head coverage that they need, at least from side to side. Definitely not as well. You can see that they're still falling short, not significantly short, but still short from here to here. But they are overlapping here, which would give them the adequate amount of water that they need in that case. So all right, so in that case, if we're looking at, they're maybe running this right here where it says 62 feet. If they were running a 20 nozzle in this specific, I don't know what heads they're using. I'm just going off of the Hunter I-25s just as an example. But if they were running those I-25s, 7 heads, it's showing it's 124 gallons a minute on what's probably a 2-inch valve. That's more than what they probably should be running on it, but again, it's probably an old design when that was more considered standard practice. Nowadays, we tend to reduce so we'd get less friction loss, so the system performs like it's supposed to, and we don't wind up with issues like this. I think the biggest issue here is, during the day when they have the full access to the amount of water that they need, plus full pressure, it is performing as it needs to be able to get head-to-head coverage, but during these times it is reducing that because of the pressure is down and there's not as much available water. So by reducing the nozzles just on these last 3, it would be worth trying to see how we'd only get to 51 feet, but it's much better than the 42 feet that they're currently getting. So they would be able to get, it would be a good test to see whether or not for those last, say, 3 to 4 hours, just those ones that would be running during those times, to have those nozzles changed out to, say, this size 10. Well, I do realize that this size 10 is running less gallons per minute, therefore there is less water going down per hour, inches per hour, so it would have to run longer. But if you were to, say, increase these by, say, 20% in time, I bet you would most likely level out and do much better if you were to do something like that. It would be worth a try at the very least. Now, let's move on and see what that would do and how that would affect the coverage. You can see right here the 10-foot difference. It would extend out past these dry areas and help to compensate for some of these other areas that are dry as well by adding all of those in. And you can see here, it seems like, or it looks like this, that is very much indicative of what is happening at the beginning of the night, because that's where the green circles are. But at the end of the night, it's not. This is obviously not reaching where these are reaching. It just, you can see the very distinct patterns that they're actually reaching at the beginning of the night, where they're not at the end of the night. Now, this is just a comparison of what it is looking like during those periods in time when it's not getting adequate coverage because of the pressure, and which may not be entirely obvious when you're seeing them running. They may look just fine. They just aren't shooting as far as they need to because they're not going to hit, at the very least, they're not going to hit to this head. I doubt you would ever, in a situation like this where it's been laid out poorly like this, I don't think you'd ever reach this other head during all points of the night. There may be some specific times when you have super high pressure that during the day that you get to see that, but during runtime, I don't think you'll ever see that. So in this case, your goal is to try to get head-to-head coverage just across this direction, not this direction. And that is what I've done on this side, where head-to-head coverage is not additional head-to-head coverage where you go over by 20 or 30% or whatever. It's just trying to reach that next head, which was that 52 feet. It does provide where this is double, single, double, single, double. It now goes double. Well, let's go down here. Double, this little tiny bit single, double, single, double. And then these areas are the ones that would be the very high strength areas, because this is getting hit by 4 heads, 3 heads, 2 heads, and then just that little sliver that's getting hit by 1. And that shows up better in this picture, where it shows, since I made them blue to show just how much water is hitting those areas. You can see by how dark it goes that the amount of water hit in those areas will be significantly more than what's going on here. So the idea is to try to disperse the water as evenly as possible so you get the best distribution uniformity. Now, this is just my opinion. I think this is something that I would hope would spur those that are in the field that understand what's going on to conversation, and let me know, what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree, or do you have any other ideas? I don't know. Thanks.